So many things are coming together all at one time. Something that I caught on to very recently is California's standards that they're demanding of rail car emissions and railway emissions. That the way that system runs, this is fundamentally what's being asked of them, is scientifically impossible. It's not a matter of losing profits or something like that. It's actually that there is no thing that operates the way that they say it will. That the way that what the pseudoscience that California is operating on, the dream science, that if we had unobtainium and impossibilium, we will totally get what, getting. So one of the things I want to call now, because of what I'm starting to see shape up in California is going to become sort of this place that's going to be a study of sort of a new level and a new type of political corruption. We're already starting to see it in schemes that are supposedly housing the homeless schemes that are starting to show up there, because people can't sell other than at a loss. And there's just this, so many properties and so many big deal people are going to lose money. There's certain very drastic things are going to happen. And so California is going to start seizing tremendous amounts of assets and selling them off. And most of these will probably be bought up by people who are very close to the Democratic Party, big donors, friends of the Democrats. So it'll be kind of interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see. But California is now lost, and so what it is that the other states are going to have to start, all the Republican states are going to have to start making efforts toward fundamentally getting rid of the federal EPA entirely. That it just has no teeth. That a place like California, that it's like, oh no, then we're going to have to do shipping to other places, and we're going to have to do it another way. And because now it's starting to become this thing of we have to start punishing you. You have to obviously starve. The left coast obviously has to become what it once was, a place that was extremely hard for humans to inhabit in great numbers. That's apparently what the liberals, the progressives, and the Democrats really want. And it appears to some degree kind of like cultural chaos as well. That does seem to really be a focus of theirs, that people are left in relative chaos. But one of the things that this is going to have much bigger ramifications. The kerplunk has already happened, and then I heard more. This is about Disney. So the Disney, I did not realize that was the VP. I didn't realize that quite at first. And when I realized, oh, okay, that was the VP. That wasn't like some other, no, okay. Then, LinkedIn gone. I forget if resigned. Well, somebody was reporting that there's a number of renewal contracts that are up right now at Disney, or coming up pretty soon. And this couldn't have happened at a worse time for them. That the amount of losses that are happening, the way that their streaming services have they haven't worked this out right. But then this story drops. And this just looks terrible. one of the main reasons why is because it's this confirmation of everything that the critics of Disney have said. And everybody gets that. It's another Alex Jones is always correct moment. And it's the key thing that the left hates: embarrassment. It's embarrassing. You've gotten caught being Marxists again, and Marxists are always bad people. It's just the philosophy that kind of allows bad people to kind of write off their behaviors as for the revolution. So I started thinking about, one, people were saying, there's going to be lawsuits. That's one of the first things. There's going to be some lawsuits. Very interesting that in the article, or in this, came up that there was somebody that they weren't quite black enough. Because that's going to be its own. I'm waiting to see that shoe drop, because that's going to be kind of interesting. I want to see what people end up, what the reaction to that one is, because this has a lot of ramifications, because we can't really get the idea of, who applied at this company. How many people did, so this is bad. This is bad stuff. This is not ideal. And everybody's going to have to handle this extremely carefully. At this stage, there's no more flippant Twitter. There's no more hemming and hawing kind of answers. They're really going to need to run everything through those, these top, 3 men, top 2 women on the legal team. Not marketing, not PR, the legal team. Run it past legal. Let legal shape our reaction to this, this story, because we always support this, that, and the other big idea. We say no to those things. Yada, 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 right? That's very important, yada, yada, yada. We are not about those things, or the racism. No, we would never do that. We are committed to, now, this idea that if legal, you see, because to then add, we are committed to diversity, boom, and that's it. They're done. They're totally done. Now, the reason why I'm finding this so important of a story just hit me with the other ones. 10 Commandments in Louisiana schools. So if I were a smart Democrat that thinks that I'm going to win by being like, can you believe the right wing is doing this? One of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to tie the 10 Commandments in schools in Louisiana to this, and try to make it like, oh, this isn't even a thing. It's that guy, and his hit pieces and yada yada yada. Because remember, I'm thinking I'm a smart Democrat, so I'm going with what they have traditionally done. James O'Keefe, he's a phony baloney. Never believe him. He falsely edits and cheap fakesies. Don't believe your lion eyes. And remember, Black Redhead Ariel made perfect sense. That was a completely rational thing to do, and doesn't come across as we really wanted to stick it to people who like redheads or wanted the story anything like the old story. Now, there was somebody who I'm a fan of, and he said, technically, if you watch it, it's actually a fun movie. He said, if you have a kid with you, they're going to enjoy it. He said, most little children we'll enjoy the movie. And I was like, actually, like, okay, good enough. That's cool. And so there is an extent to which there's a lot of this that it's like, no. We get that you might have made something that put butts in the seats and was good show business. Straight up. And that nothing can be taken away from you in that regard. And nobody's trying, so don't even go there. It's that when you do something that the obvious idea was you didn't really need to do that. You did it sort of for some strange reason of sticking it to the audience. And people who know that that's a key part of cultural Marxism, which is, been kind of shortened into this thing called woke. But what it is it's cultural Marxism, and this is you could look it up. It's a whole field and everything. That's what you do. It's similar to Nazis and Jew baiting, things like that. That it was ways of trying to pick a fight with an opponent, but fake it, and so that when they get mad, you go look at this character, this party. They're always angry, and they're always full of anger. And it's like, no, you're constantly picking fights with them. And it's very childish. It's a very childish method. Well, so one of the things I wanted to put out there was the Ten Commandments thing. What this is a thing that people see similarly in our culture who don't come from honor cultures. Honor cultures would understand exactly what's happening in Louisiana. They're saying, okay, you want to, you teachers want to do this, that, and the other. Well, we, the people who pay you, want this. And you're going to do it. Or, well, I guess you're going to do it or you won't be a teacher. Bingo, bango, bongo. Everybody's problem solved. Everybody's problem is solved. And it's a line in the sand. Now, the best part about it is they're going to then get the suits against it. And that's when the reactions happen. And all these various people who want to be known in politics for this reason or another, or some other, the atheists, the anti-religionists, the Christian haters, the people who they everything that they like actually comes from Christian history, but they're Marxist garbage, so they either don't know or they live in a world of myths saying otherwise. And it's really when people are like, oh, that came from paganism, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, and who then made it into an absolute science that used it and built on it so that you could apply it, and it's in an educational form and in books that are commonly available because it's not kept away from the low classes of slaves. Oh yeah, no slaves, because those Christians freed all slaves. I really, after a while, I'm just kind of like, no. You don't get to keep claiming things that it was so awesome under paganism. It was so fucking awesome, Don't worry, no. Society doesn't, it didn't have its own problems. It had no problems, ever, And so he's waiting for people to come and fight. He's waiting for the various groups to fight. He's waiting for the teachers' union to sue, all this stuff. And so the reason why then is because then the Republican Party could be like, seriously, so here's the books that they've been trying to get in that teachers have been informing us of so that we could remove them. Here's what they don't want in. Thou shalt not murder. thou shalt not commit murder, and such like. And so this is going to be an interesting, he's drawn a line in the sand. And so this is a Republican Party in Louisiana. They're getting ready to actually bring a critical part of the cultural fight. Because one of the key things, the Mosaic Law is one of the most key elements of sort of one of the early things that bound people civically, that was also something considered religious, that they would have been widely known in the society. And you see it just so much in Freemasonic iconography and in their rituals, that it's also shows up in a lot of Kabbalah. And so as Kabbalah became more and more popular among the educated classes, they got into occultism and stuff like that. That's a key part of it too. And so there's just no way around how this is this set of laws, that this very idea of Moses the lawgiver is like a really big deal to the Western world. And also is kind of a key part of arguing for the idea of freeing captive people. And because of the Exodus story. And so there's going to be a lot of this kind of stuff cited. That's going to be the beauty of it, is there's going to be people who are going to be like, oh, this is just pish posh and mishmash and, da-da-da. But then there's going to be these people who are like, well, no, this is actually how this goes back then to the early colonial times, when the founding fathers wrote letters to synagogues telling them, no, you'll be okay after the revolution. This is not going to be a nation that's going to go after you guys. And all this kind of stuff, that's a key part of the symbolism and the history of it. And so I'm just I'm just looking forward to a lot of these arguments coming up, and the left trying to pretend that they understand enough about theology or moral philosophy or ethics or something like that, they could argue against all of this, or that it's even a good thing for them to. But then so that's the next thing. So what are the Republicans going to do? They will definitely cite, they want these books on sex, the norm. And because this is something that, remember, this kind of is a story that it flares up, but then the wind dies down a little, and it just sparks. It's just the hot coals. Nothing, and nobody ever really uses it to start a good bonfire. And it's that a lot of these books are fucking weird. I mean, they're just plain weird. I mean, I remember a lot of strange shit when I was young, but I mean, this is weird shit. I remember heavy metal. I remember, there's a number of books that I could remember. You weren't supposed to find them in the library. And that you'd be like, whoa, this is some crazy shit. Who put this in the library? But I mean, this is weird stuff that's obviously being directed to really, like, people who are young in a way that they're kind of underdeveloped, mentally underdeveloped seeming people. And it does seem to be some kind of autistic kid grooming kit is what a lot of these books seem to come across as. So what I've had to come to some thoughts about, I'm like, now these guys have done this in a way, there has to be a fight that goes all the way up into the fall over Louisiana. There's going to be lawsuits immediately. They're ready to go. They're ready. They've already got, like, people ready to do fucking battle in the courtroom, whatever that video game is. They, let's go, No, it's time for a law fight, And And the thing is, they have enough people who are active voters, and they have enough momentum in the state that they're going to have a hard time making this seem like this is a plot by Whitey to a lot of old Christian black people and older black people that like won't see they might see this as, well, I mean, if this doesn't pass muster constitutionally, then maybe it doesn't, who knows what'll, but I mean, like, they're probably not going to be like, yeah, this is they plotting, trying to use the Ten Commandments and their technology. That's not what's going to be happening. Being that, and then there's going to be these things of people citing, oh yeah, here's the Ten Commandments in the schools, or up on here and up on there, way back. Oh, here's when you used to have to memorize them, and blah, 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 and it's going to be stuff like that. That's what's going to happen, is that people are going to bring out all this historical stuff about it, that they're like, yeah, this wasn't really that weird, and heaven forbid they take this even farther as, oh, this was a set of a whole bunch of things that were kind of Western canon that you actually had to set to memory, or that you frequently read this part of Western canon, which there was other there, and I really do mean that I've actually heard about this from people who were about my generation, and they're talking about their parent, and that their parent had like all kinds of stuff that they had memorized when they were in school. And I remember, I think my father was another one of these people that he had to memorize a lot of stuff. Like, I mean, like great speeches and things like that. Kind of historic poems, famous historic poems, such like, where, I mean, I had to do that too, but I mean, it was not as heavily concentrated on, and it was because the kids became so bad at it, that memory issues became really bad, and memory is intrinsically tied to IQ, and so it's, it's hard to deal with when you got, kids that they just can't memorize things, they're just kind of dense, and it's hard for them, that's why we don't teach multiplication correctly anymore, by multiplying, by knowing the multiplication tables by memory, up to 12 by 12. So I was thinking, I'm the Republicans here and there. There's obviously some strategies that I'm going to be like, oh, sounds kind of like you guys are going a little Yahoo, and then it's going to be like, no, wait a second, what's the reaction supposed to be to this? What are we going to see somebody do in reaction to this? Let's see, and then what do we see? We see this amazing reaction happen of, oh yeah, you actually you're going to play yourselves with your reaction. You're going to embroil yourselves in a debate that you really don't want to have, because you're going to have to come with receipts, very good citations. There's going to be a lot. It's inherently nuanced, and you're going to get beaten over the head with the inherent nuance of it. Such is why nobody really kept on that appeal to heaven story, because all across the Northwest people use that flag. It's one of the flags of the Northwest. I just kind of think it's hilarious. Like, I'm like, huh? Like, what? Yeah, okay, that doesn't make any sense, but okay. So just something I was thinking about with the racism thing. Okay, the thing that I was also embroiled in court. Disney is going to get embroiled in Discovery. If these people are smart, they'll figure out this is the time to strike. There'll be lawyers that have been waiting for their vengeance for so long. They've been waiting for their comeuppance for so long that it'll just be perfect. It'll be absolutely beautiful to see. But it really is this idea of there's a lot of people that they want to get their piece of Disney. Yeah, Disney owes them a pound of flesh, and they're going to get their pound of flesh, and really the not hiring white men thing. See, the other part about this is what this is going to open is then a demand from the DOJ or to the DOJ. You need to look into if this company is actually like widely discriminatory against whites. And heaven forbid they get into like people from VFX feel in particularly certain ways of VFX people and engineers and things like that. This is going to just be bad. Disney's going to be spending a fortune on lawyers when it comes to this. And now there's this whole thing of all these people who supported the board and supported Iger, or they supported Iger staying the head and everything, and just they're eating shit. Now Nelson Peltz is just looking at them like, well, how you feeling now? What do you think? What do you think we should do about this, folks? And also now it becomes this thing of, if this turns out to be true in any sense, no public entity will be able to hold that stock. It'll just be radioactive. So no, there's going to be all these institutions that it's going to be like, no, you can't hold that stock while they are still being run by, the same group of people. This is a real mess for them, and it's going to be interesting to see the various outlets and various parties of interest and how they're going to, approach it, and how important is this story, if this is even real, is this even a real event, so we'll see. All right, later.